crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Good morning. Bix Weir, roadtoroot.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of chaga coffee. California's on bang, bad shit lockdown. It's insane these days. It might be a good thing that we're all staying home considering what else is going on behind the scenes, especially in the monetary system. You know, there's something in the back of my head saying this is being done not for COVID, not for the battle between the good guys and the bad guys. This is all being done because we are ending the end day, not the end year. Oh, the dollar is going to slowly decline over the next 20 years. No, it'll be a day when everything just stops. The day the music died. The day the music died. I have posted the second part of a 3-part discussion with Jenny Moonstone. This one's about unstoppable spiritual silver, secret gold, and Theta versus Theta fuel. This is my best, Jenny's best, or our best post ever. Out of the 17 different times, this is the private road, mind you. Out of all these posts, this one's the best one ever. It's going to blow your socks off. All you Road to Ruta members, private road members, go to private road page. It's right there right at the top. Or second article, Jenny Moonstone readings on the Road to Ruta. First one tells you how to buy, store, and stake Theta, which I'll get to. Let's talk silver. Let's talk silver being so massively. There's not one analyst on the planet, one serious analyst, who doesn't think silver's ready to absolutely go batshit crazy because of the amount of money printed. Because theoretically, the manipulators got their wrists slapped. JP Morgan, $982 million wrist slap. But, oh, by the way, they're still allowed to be the custodian of SLV silver. If you have SLV, you will lose it. I am sorry, you're going to lose it. What do? You weren't smart enough to figure out there's a difference between physical silver and electronic promises. Who figured that out back in 2008, 2009? The GATA folks, I was very vocal, I'll show you that in a second. The GATA folks knew it. There's a difference between physical and the paper product. JP Morgan figured that out about 2009, 10, 11. After they got the Bear Stearns silver short position, said, oh my God, this is a company killer. It's already killed Drexel Burnham, AIG, Bear Stearns. And now JP Morgan had, and they said, what are we going to do? Blythe Masters looked around and said, I'm going to have to look at those tinfoil hat people and say, oh my God, they're right. The GATA folks are right. The Ted Butlers of the world are right. The Bix Weirs of the world are right. There's a difference between physical silver and a paper promise, an electronic promise. Anybody holding, I don't care how nice your silver dealer is. If they are holding your silver, if there's anybody between you and your silver, you will lose all of it. Not a little bit, 100%. That includes mining shares. Of course, mining shares will not pay out. Why? Because if silver runs, which I believe it is about to, it is the bank killer. All these mining companies are absolutely beholden to the system staying together. Why is that? Think about it. Banks go down, everybody's screaming, oh, those bastard banksters, blah, blah, blah. What's the next form of money? It's going to be cryptos or it's going to be gold and silver. Those are your 3 choices. Not all cryptos, but certain cryptos. The gold bugs are saying, oh my God, of course it's gold. Silver bugs are saying, well, silver's been money for longer than gold. Why not silver? Mainly because there's not enough of it. But the reality is, do you really think Mexico, who's been literally raped of silver for the past 200 years, do you really think Mexico, if the banks collapse, is going to allow foreign investors to control the wealth of their population who is starving and dying? No, they're going to confiscate every silver mine. So will the United States. So will every country around the world. And they'll reallocate that wealth to the people, not to those smart investors who bought mining shares. That's why I'm anti-mining. It's not because the metal in the ground. I don't think these mine. It's not because the miners are so overvalued. That's bullshit. I think they are too valuable. The gold and silver in the ground of these mining companies are too valuable for any country to allow a certain tiny amount of people to control the wealth of the nation. Sorry. You'll probably get fair market value before the crash. So if you're, well, no, you won't. Because the other problem is the shares of the mining companies have been rehypothecated. You don't even know how many shares there are. Look at the volumes on the when things get exciting in the metals space, all the miners. Look how many shares trade hands. It is ridiculous. My estimate, 5 to 10 times the amount of shares are rehypothecated, invented out of thin air. A computer blip at Fidelity, at Charles Schwab. They don't have those shares. They deal in pools of shares. So their customers is just like cryptos. Their customers don't have shit. And that's the big problem. One of the many. Anyway, physical in your own possession. Blythe Masters figured it out. JP Morgan said, okay, we're going to load up on physical gold and physical silver. At the same time, we're going to suppress the price. We'll probably have to pay about $1 billion in fines and fees, but that's okay. And now what are they doing? And so they were told, you got to put, part of the settlement, you got to put 300 million ounces back. Ted Butler's like, they put it back into the market, but, and that's what was delivered all year, but they leased it into the market. It's all about ownership. So there's a double short out there in silver. Double short. The top 8, probably the top 4, are short about 300 million ounces plus. Ted believes, I believe it too. JP Morgan did not sell all that silver that they delivered on the COMEX. They leased it, meaning they maintain ownership. And basically, the silver shorts have double the exposure. People ask me, Bix, you've said some crazy things. $600 silver, $800 silver. That's ridiculous. You guys didn't read all my articles, but back in 2013, 2014, look what I wrote. Here's why $100,000 per ounce silver is a conservative estimate. Now you can really laugh. But if you go down and look at my reasoning on every issue, this is what I'm saying is, here's how we get there. I'm not just saying, oh, I predict $100,000 silver. I'm saying, here's how we get there. Now, some of these things have already come true, but the price didn't move because we're still under manipulation. I love the Silver Surfer picture. That's what I think silver is moving towards. Truthfully, this is the Silver Knights coming in. They're here. They arrived on December 14th, which Jenny and I talk about. But now, let's talk about $100,000 silver before you laugh too hard. Mind you, some of this stuff will happen, but the price is still suppressed. $100,000 silver will happen when the price suppression ends. When these 4 traders who are not only short on COMEX, 300 million ounces, they're short in the payback of leased silver to JP Morgan, another 300 million ounces. All right, so here's what I wrote almost 10 years ago. Where's the price of silver going and why? Nobody should underestimate the coiled spring effect that underlies the silver price. 45 years of computer price suppression won't blow off smoothly. It will attempt to quantify the potential price movements in silver based on my 20 reasons to buy and sell silver. So here's, at the time, Jack Lew was Treasury Secretary, so he was in charge of the rig. And they had $20. Silver was at $20 back then. Yes, it's really moved up, $5. That's price suppression. Nobody knows the price of silver. My first was, number 1, the removal of the giant concentrated short position on the COMEX. 300 plus million ounces right now. There's no reason for that. No miners are hedging. What is the reason for 300 plus million ounces to be held short. And this is according to CFT. This is 10 years ago. Back then, it was probably more. Oh, it was only 100. Now it's 300. There you go. That's why silver price hasn't gone up. So back then, I said, well, if you remove that short position, the price of silver is going to go up by 6, which will give you 120 million ounces. By 6. That's just what everybody's thinking. That's where you get the 600, 700 million, or $700 an ounce. But that's not the end of it. There's more. Number 2, the announcement of charges by both the CFTC and FBI on the investigations of silver fix. That happened. That happened for a couple banks. And I had hopes that, potentially criminals would go to jail. I knew that it was rigged, but I didn't know how, 10 years ago, I didn't know how much power these banks had over the legal system. They write their own laws. It doesn't matter. So, number 2 happened and nothing happened. I figured it would double the price from, we were at 120 to 240. Number 3, the shutdown of the iShares SLV. I do believe that is coming. Why? Because they don't own the silver, the underlying silver. The authorized participants that put it in have leased that silver. And they're the ones to get to take it out. All that money that is invested in SLV should be flowing out of SLV into the real thing, physical silver in your own possession. And that would have doubled the price, is what I had. And see, this is how we get to 100,000. It just keeps doubling the price. All these things are going to happen. The implementation of COMEX position limits, which they still, they put a soft little position limit, which according to the CME, they can change at any time. So that hasn't been done yet. I said that'll be a 10% bump in the price. Number 5, winding down of the outrageous manipulative short positions held by JP Morgan and Citibank. JP Morgan has wound down their position, and they're pretty much flat right now. How did they do it? They pawned it off on other banksters, other too big to fail banksters like Citibank. Citibank has not wound down their position. We will see. Number 6, the mass redemption of paper silver currently held in pooled silver accounts and silver certificate programs. Unbelievably, these programs are still up and running. The Kitco Metals Pool, are you kidding me? Perth Mint? Ridiculous. Talk about what happens when, we're out of silver. We can't deliver the silver from the Perth Mint. You've got massive pools that are completely unbacked. There's no silver in there every time they run out. They call their inventory, that was how they finance their inventory. That's why the fees are so low. They don't have the silver. And then when people try to redeem it to get the real thing, that's when you get a 50% bump in price. Okay, the silver to gold price ratio reflects the true relationship between above ground gold and above ground silver. That's going 1-to-1. That's how much. There's 6 billion ounces of gold and 6 billion ounces of silver. Silver's more important than gold. I think gold will go up to 20,000 an ounce. Silver will easily hit 20,000 an ounce. I think silver will surpass the ratio 1-to-1 gold. Could be 2-to-1 silver to gold. Why? Because we need gold. We need silver for the future. We don't need gold. All right, number 8. The realization by industrial users of silver that the supply of silver is rapidly depleting. This is happening right now. Silver users all over the world are going to be, and they have big money. Dow Chemical, Apple Computer, Samsung, all of them use silver in their products. They're all going to be racing and chasing down the last bars, driving up the price. The reversal of silver ever-increasing use in industrial applications due to either high prices or the discovery of a viable substitute. That's what's going to happen. As silver goes to $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 an ounce, they're going to have to find substitutes, or the supply is going to have to be smaller. You're not going to be able to throw away your TV every 2 years because it's got an ounce of silver in it, and that ounce of silver is worth $10,000, $20,000, $100,000. You'll be melting down the old TVs. Number 10, realization by the remaining 99.9% of the investing public that does not does not currently own any silver, silver is extremely undervalued. I have been screaming this for 20 years. Investors chase price. As people see, oh my God, look, the silver price has gone from $25 to $100 in a month, and then it went to $200. I have to go get some. Everybody in the world is going to be chasing after silver. Number 11, acknowledgement by the bullion banks and the U.S. government that they have been involved in silver price suppression for over 50 years. They're going to have to come clean. Everybody's going to have to come clean soon. Number 12, all statistical reporting companies have completely revised their historical numbers to reflect the true supply-demand realities. I won't sell until we know how much gold there is in the world. I have an inkling it's a hell of a lot more than what they tell us. And silver, it's a hell of a lot less than what they tell us. So I'm not going to sell any silver until the truth comes out about how much there is. How much gold is there? How much silver is there? Nobody knows. Number 13, USGS alerts the world to the real current silver consumption rates. The USGS reports on how much minerals and metals are in the ground. Right now, at our consumption rate, I think it's 10 years. It says 10 years before it's all gone. Of course, they add to that every year. But silver has the lowest available, one of the lowest available stock in-ground reserves compared to the consumption rate. How many years will it take? For gold, it's infinity. You have infinity years. You don't consume gold. You dig it up out of the ground and then you bury it in a vault. With silver, it's the opposite. You dig it up out of the ground and it's used in little bitty bits. Number 14, realization by investors that significant increases in the price of silver would not curtail industrial demand. That's because it's used in little bitty bits. Each of these things that I'm listing off is going to happen to silver. That's why it's going to go up above $50, above $600, above $1,000, above the price of gold. Number 15, the mainstream media highlights that investment drivers for silver far outweigh the investment drivers for gold. It is not even ridiculously close comparison anymore, especially with the advent of Bitcoin, which is far better use case than gold as a store of value. It's limited to 21 million coins. You can't do anything about that. That's math. Gold is not limited to how much gold is out there. There's millions of tons. There's not 200,000 tons. When the world finds that out, where are they going to run? Everybody's going to sell their gold and try to get silver. They're not going to be able to get it. So they'll keep bidding the price up. Number 16, the U.S. Mint starts to produce silver eagles in, quote, quantities sufficient to meet demand and no longer illegally rationing their dwindling supply. I've been fighting this fight. I believe it was me. I got the Treasury Secretary Mnuchin to change the law. Not Mnuchin. It was Geithner at the time. To change the law. There was a slight tweak in the U.S. Silver Eagle, or U.S. Eagle law. Because we were screaming, you are required by law in silver to create silver coins in quantities sufficient to meet demand. By law. That means if you don't have any silver, you have to bid higher for silver. And I explained that to the U.S. Treasury and the world. I wrote many articles on it and letters directed to the Treasury Secretary. They ended up changing the law. They didn't change this wording. They still have to produce them in quantities sufficient to meet demand, but they said as judged by the Treasury Secretary. Well, that throws that out the window. The judgment of Tim Geithner at the time, the judgment of Steve Mnuchin, bullshit. They're market riggers. Their judgment is, oh, we're fine. Let's just put it on hold. U.S. Mint is not making silver eagles right now. Now, they usually stop in December, but they never really announced it. Unless I didn't see the announcement. There is a new silver eagle coming out next year. Nobody knows yet what it's going to look like. It's supposed to have security features on it. Why? Because we're moving into a new world of money. Number 17. When investors stop saying silver is too hard to store, that's the most ridiculous argument for silver. Well, I'm not going to buy silver. It's too hard to store. I'm going to buy gold. Really? Really? Silver is too hard to store. If silver was freely traded at $100,000 per ounce, would it be hard to store then? No, you can buy a vault somewhere. You can buy this massive property and stick a vault in the ground and say, oh, silver was so hard to store, I became a multi-billionaire. Anyway, number 18, when central banks around the world stop printing money, that's what we're running into. They're printing infinity money. Every central bank in the world right now has thrown the rules out the window, and they're printing money and not telling anybody about it, especially the U.S. government, who's been doing that for a long time. That's what Ruta wrote in the sand back in the day in 1981 when the Fed Boston released the comic books. Number 19, the U.S. government and the citizens of the United States will recognize and acknowledge that Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution specifies that only gold and silver coin can be legally used as money, and the Coinage Act of 1792 defined the dollar as, and I quote, 371 grains and 4/16 part of a grain of pure, or 416 grains of standard silver. That is the definition of the U.S. dollar, the constitutional definition. What is the dollar? Not a Federal Reserve note. Will we go back to the Constitution? Will the governments give everybody silver eagles and gold eagles as a reallocation of money after the banking system crashes? Why are they adding security features to the U.S. silver eagle? Number 20, the price of silver has risen so high it has fulfilled all my hopes and dreams. That's how we get to $100,000 silver. We're going to get to $600 to $800 silver probably in the next couple months with the insanity and crashing of the monetary system. But that's not what will end. It won't end there. The dollar might end. And that's why $100,000 an ounce is a conservative estimate for silver. Yeah, I did a lot of work with silver back in the day. Fine. I did want to point out a couple other things. This Zero Hedge posted a Egon von Gertz, goldswitzerland.com, gold versus Bitcoin. Yeah, I'm reading it. Yeah, they have the same arguments about why gold will go up as silver goes up. But this guy doesn't understand Bitcoin at all. It was actually really embarrassing what this guy said. Let me read it to you. Gold and Bitcoin. There is a major debate going on between Bitcoin and gold investors, including institutions. There is not a major debate between Bitcoin investors. There's a major debate on gold investors because they don't understand Bitcoin. But there's not a major debate in the crypto sphere about gold versus Bitcoin. There's no debate at all. But, the gold bugs are making a debate or trying to. Anyway, investors, including institutions, are putting major amounts of money into Bitcoin. I am not a Bitcoin expert. Well, you can stop there. You've had 10 years to become a Bitcoin expert. Why aren't you a Bitcoin expert? But I am very clear that the reasons for recommending gold as the ultimate form of wealth preservation cannot, and I quote, cannot be filled by Bitcoin. I have stated many times that Bitcoin could be a speculator investment and go to $1 million, for example, as Raoul Pal advocates. He's a very smart investor and bases his forecast on stock to flow. On the other hand, in my view, here we go, Bitcoin could go to zero if central banks ban it, as they introduce their own digital currencies. Clearly, he doesn't understand what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin doesn't give a shit about central banks. Bitcoin is a decentralized solution to the problem that central banks are. And no central bank in the world would ever create a cryptocurrency that is open source software, that has a limited fixed supply, that they don't control. It's not going to happen. So those currencies that the central banks make when their system collapses are going to be ridiculously hysterical. And yes, they will pass laws. You shall not use anything else. Bitcoin doesn't need government laws. Bitcoin's open source software that can be transacted on, it is completely out of the reach of any government. Now, if you want to get back in their system, cash out your Bitcoin for some fiat money, yeah, they can lock you up there. But why would you want to? Their system is dying. And it's dying for good reason. They're printing money unbelievable amounts of money. Let's continue. See if this guy has. I'm waiting for one of these gold bugs to come up with some answer why cryptos are worse than gold. Oh, by the way, Egon, whatever your name is, have I told you there's millions of tons of gold out there? What are you going to do when it's exposed? Oh my God, Chocolate Mountain has 1,000,000 tons of gold in it. The Grand Canyon has millions of tons of gold. Yamashita's gold, 300,000 tons. There's gold all over the place. Anyway, he pretty much summed it up by saying, I'm not a Bitcoin expert, but here's why gold's better. All right, let's see. Let's talk about it. Since Bitcoin is not backed by any asset or central bank, that's the beauty of Bitcoin. It is not, it's not the fault of Bitcoin. It's not a bad thing about Bitcoin. The beauty of it, it's not backed by anything. It doesn't need third-party tip of the hat. It doesn't need third parties at all. That's why it's a beautiful asset. Kind of like why gold is a beautiful asset. It doesn't need third parties. If central banks banned gold, would you turn in all your gold? No, you wouldn't. And nobody did in 1933. That's the fact. All right. Since Bitcoin is not backed by any asset or any central bank, it would be worthless if it was banned. That's not true. That's a lie. That's like saying the U.S. has banned gold. Did it become worthless? No. Come on, dude. You're not this stupid. Sure, there could be a black market, but that wouldn't serve much purpose if virtually no one would accept payment in Bitcoin. Everybody would accept payment in Bitcoin. Nobody would accept payment in a digital currency that is not open source software, that is not fixed supply. He doesn't get it. He still doesn't get it. It's amazing. All right. The degree of wealth preservation required to preserve capital depends greatly on where we are in the investment cycle. If investment markets are sound and not overvalued as a result of speculation or false markets, stocks and bonds can represent sound wealth preservation. Are you fucking kidding me? A third party as a bank, the banking system is clearly going to collapse. They're printing money in infinity amounts behind the scenes and not telling you, and you're saying, oh, invest in stocks and bonds, which we already know are rehypothecated. All right. If anybody wants to follow these old gold bugs, go for it. However, in the present market bubbles, all assets are overvalued as a result of the unlimited credit expansion and money printing. As stated above, the risk of a 95% fall is much greater than a 100% gain. So why invest in stocks and bonds? If you have a 95% fall, you've got the destruction of these too big to fail banks and everything is broken. There will be no stock market. There will be no bond market. Then there will be no CFTC or SEC to go crying to either. The SIPC, the insurance company for the stock market, was ridiculous. It still is ridiculous. Bernie Madoff went down and destroyed the whole SIPC game. Same with the FDIC. The FDIC doesn't have money to cover a billionth of their guarantees. It's insane. So anyway, just wanted to point that out. Cryptos are doing well. Of course, don't tell a gold bug that, but cryptos are doing well because they're standalone assets, and they don't rely on a third party like gold-backed money does. Of course, I'd run right to where's Theta. Remember, we started Theta. It was up in 80, 90, number 80 or 90, 10 cents. There it is, number 31 and climbing. 31 with a star. At $1 Theta, it will hit the $1 billion market cap. Great. That's a catapulting area for Theta. Lots coming down the pike as far as Theta. Decentralized video streaming. Wouldn't that be beautiful? No more censorship. It's scary because you can put anything on it. Anything. Like anything. Think of the worst thing possible and you can put that on a decentralized streaming thing. But it is coming. You can't stop it. It's decentralized. So Theta's like, well, we might as well, that's what freedom can be messy. Liberty is messy because you might not agree with someone else, but you don't have the right to take away his freedom and liberty to express whatever he wants. Just don't look at it. You don't like it, don't look at it. Don't put your judgment on someone else. At the same time, can you track people, for example, murder? if someone wants to put murder on a decentralized streaming platform. Yeah. If it's truly decentralized, there's nothing you can do. Now, there will be clues about where this person originated it and things like that. So it probably wouldn't be a good idea to do that. There will still be governments and police running after all the criminals. But if it's decentralized, there's nothing you can do. Anyway, that's not the big part of Theta. The big part of Theta is the expansion of broadband and internet. The expansion of the internet is absolutely necessary. So yes, Theta next year, it's going to go 10x in a blink of an eye. And if you don't believe me, it's gone 20x already this year. So from the lows to the highs, 20x. It'll probably do the same thing next year. So 20x from here is $20 a token. And then the year after, and the year after. And we're going to get to $2,000, $3,000 Theta. You can join now, or you can join later, because you will. Every smart TV on the planet is going to be running a Theta edge node to share broadband. It's the only way we can expand broadband and have an equal playing field for the rest of the world. The entire functioning of humanity is moving to the internet. The way we work, the way we buy goods, the way we are entertained. And there's not enough bandwidth, and there's no company jumping up and down to spend trillions of dollars to expand the infrastructure. And once they get done with that, oh, by the way, it's obsolete and you need more. It's got to be decentralized. Theta invented a way to do it cost-free. It's pretty much free to run a Theta node. Free internet. Wow. That's Theta Edge node. It's free. Go to thetatoken.org and download the Edge node. You can be earning Theta Fuel right now just by sharing your internet that you're not using, your broadband that you're not using. Anyway, that's where we are there. That's where we are here. One of the places I go to get crypto prices, called cryptoprices.com, it looks like it was shut down. Somebody shut them down. That's always scary. Anyway, I have posted Jenny Moonstone discussions on the private road. Go to the private road. Oh, by the way, also on the private road, if you join today, I'm giving away 25 Theta and 25 Theta Fuel. When it hits over $1, we're going to probably change it. So I used to give away 100. Now we're down to 25. We're going to drop to 15 next. 15 is the next drop. If you want to renew your Rotoroo subscription, get another 25. Load it on a paper wallet, mail to your front door. People who aren't savvy on cryptos, this is perfect for you. You stick it away in your vault with your silver. Jim Willie's probably going to do it. But also, on the private road, I teach you how to buy, store, and stake Theta. And it's pretty easy instruction. You got to know some basic crypto stuff, but not much. Buy, store, and stake Theta. Yes, even if you're in the United States. Now, Theta's coming to Coinbase. When that happens, it's like Theta's going like this on a moonshot. When it hits Coinbase, it's going to go blasting out of the solar system. I'm just saying. You heard it here first. You didn't hear it here first. Everybody's saying that. It's kind of like silver. Everybody's saying silver's going to run. Anybody who's has like a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of understanding of what Theta is and what they're doing and the technology behind expanding broadband for humanity to use, it said, oh my God, this is bigger than the World Wide Web when it was introduced in 1990. And the World Wide Web took 5 to 10 years for people to get a hold of what it was. Theta, it's going to take 1 to 2 years. It's going to be much faster than what the World Wide Web, the expansion of knowledge of the World Wide Web. And I was there in the early days of the World Wide Web. And come late 1990s, video streaming was coming. And it was slow, obviously, back then. But now, this is the future. You gotta grab onto that horse because it is a wild bucking bronco. It's Bix Weir. Road2Rotoroo.com. Hit subscribe today. Join the private road, and you get access to all the Jenny Moonstone discussions, which are awesome. Oh, by the way, if you want a reading from Jenny, she's filling up fast. Go to jennymoonstone.com. jennymoonstone.com. You can get 25% off if you put in the discount code Beyond Mystic. Is that it? Yeah, Beyond Mystic, all capital letters, one word. Beyond Mystic. All right? It's Bix Weir. I'll talk to you later.
Are there any silver lovers out there? Silver! Pay me my silver now. Cajun version. Zydeco version? What is it? Do we remember how we started this? Like Little Feet. Thought I heard the people say, pay me my silver now. Tomorrow's another trading day. Pay me my silver now. Watching comics, prices rise. Pay me my silver now. JP Morgan, naked swords to hide. Pay me my silver now. Pay me. Pay me. Pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now. CFTC, you better shut it down. Pay me my silver now. There's people rising up in every town. Pay me my silver now. Cowboys are in the know. Pay me my silver now. 10-4 hats at the silver show. Pay me my silver now. Pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now. Take it, Dick. Little saxophone. Keep going. Butler nails you every time you try. Pay me my silver now. 10-4 hats at the silver show. Pay me my silver now. Let's go. Pay me. Pay me. Pay me my silver now. Pay me. Go to jail. Pay me my silver now. Come on. Oh, that was my take, huh?